Hi everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. I'm looking for my guest. We're talking Speed Racer. We're talking about the world of Scoop. Uh, Richard Ashley Hamilton. Where is he? Did he not get the memo? Hey,
Woo! Hey,
that was
Jason.
amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, the special effects are incredible.
Yeah. I got the Wachowskis to do that whole thing. They had some effects left over from the live action film, so you're
Very
welcome.
nice. Solidifying that Christina Ricci crush. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You appear to be familiar with the world of Speed Racer. Is this true?
No, never heard of it until today. No, it's totally true. I'm a lifelong fan, and the whole reason I was lucky enough to get to write one of these comics is I was having a Zoom just like this with Chaz Pangburn, who's the editor of the Speed Racer line at Mad Cave, and he happened to notice I have this little toy Mach 5 on my bookshelf, which is gotten
Yes.
kind of yellowed with age, much like me, I think. Like I was telling you, this costume used to fit me a little better back in the 20s when I would wear it for Halloween, in my 20s. Um, but yeah, Chaz noticed the Mach 5 and asked if I was a Speed Racer fan. I was like, "Oh yeah." And that's kind of began the conversation that led to me being lucky enough to do this book.
Nice, nice. How did you initially connect with Speed Racer? You mentioned the film, but
Yep.
I imagine it was prior to that as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can barely hear you in this thing. I'm gonna take it off.
Oh yeah, totally.
Sorry to
Although it looks great, it looks
Thank
great, but
you.
I get you.
All right, there we go. Yeah, no, I started watching Speed Racer as a kid. Would have been reruns. I mean, my dad introduced me to it. And he watched it when he was a kid, when it was sort of first coming on. And so I just loved it. There's something sort of inherently comic booky about it, which was my first love. But even though Speed Racer started as an animated series, they're just, so much of it was kind of still panels anyway, with just the mouths saying "oh" and then voices going in, or they just animate little white lines on the wheels to make it look like they're spinning. So it definitely has like that comic book DNA to it. And I've just always loved it. Got my kids to watch it on I think it's all on Tubi now, but for a while we just had like the box set of it on DVD. And yeah, like lifelong fan. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine there's some fulfillment in getting to write these stories and share in this world.
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean, especially the way that Mad Cave has been handling the license for about the past year or so. The mainline Speed Racer book is terrific, and the Racer X
Mhm.
book is terrific. And I'm a big fan of Mark Russell's, and David Pepos is doing an incredible job writing the mainline book. So I'm just flattered to be in their company, as well as all the other contributors to the anthology book that I got to write for. So there's that aspect of it, of like getting to rub elbows with all these wonderful writers and artists. But yeah, I think just being a little kid, watching the show, I couldn't help but sort of wonder, like, well, what happened more in between the races? What was like the home life like? What was the story behind all these weird looking villains and their cars? And how did they design their turbo jacks and their defensor shields and all that? So it's nice to get to relive that aspect of my childhood. Writing in Speed Racer now. I swear I don't wear this costume when I'm doing the actual writing. But
Although it would be even cooler if you did. Just
yeah,
method writing.
we'll see. If they let me back, I might just do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned David Pepos there. Love his work. Mark Russell, fantastic. I love yours as
Yes.
well. So, what a great
Thank you.
trio of creators.
Yeah, and the cool thing, so the my story is in the second issue of Tales from the Road. That's the Speed Racer anthology. Probably by the time this airs, it will come out. I think the release date is the 21st of January. But yeah, there's I write one story in there that's kind of all about Pops and his backstory.
Mhm.
even as a was a little kid watching the show, I remember thinking like, what is up with this irresponsible family letting their kids, you know, enter in this very dangerous racing sport, especially since Speed's older brother, as far as they know, is dead, and
Yeah.
died during a race. So, like, what's up with that? And it was just a question I always had as a little kid, and sort of finally got the opportunity to answer that in the story. And now I'm a dad, and I'm still close with my dad, who introduced me to Speed Racer. So I wound up being this kind of sort of father-son story, and it's Pops' relationships with all his sons at various points in the past, and kind of seeing where Pops came from and what makes him tick, and how I really do try and answer that question of like how and why does this family continue to participate in a sport that's so dangerous and that's cost them so much. So I was pretty satisfied with the answer that the characters led me to, and hopefully the readers feel the same way. But at the very least, we have unbelievable art from my good friend Pablo Andres, who illustrates our Scoop books. But he
Hmm.
stepped in to do this job, and he did. You've seen his stuff before on Scoop. He's got kind of a manga vibe anyway, and he really brought it big time for this tale. It's super charming, really beautiful. We have some race sequences that are also really energetic, and Rebecca Nalty colored him, and Buddy Udone, I hope I'm saying that right, buddy, lettered it, and it just all came together really beautifully, and it also came together super, super fast. This is the fastest turnaround on a comic I've ever had in my life, and I don't know. I hope that when people read it, they can kind of feel that urgency on the page.
Yeah, yeah, very appropriate to the story type, and yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate Mad Cave's OGN space as well as these shared and licensed universes that they're reaching out to. It's very cool to see them bringing back these properties, and it strikes all the right nostalgia chords.
Yeah, absolutely. I think nostalgia can sometimes be a trap or a little reductive, but I think they've made some really smart updates to the mythology and the characters and just how they interact in their world. And I think that kind of has sort of sort of like reinvigorated it with some vitality. So I'm just enjoying the books as a fan, and I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know that you also have work and development on the Scoop series. I know that Volume 4 is on the way, and this is the concluding part of the story. So, what's it like to bring that storyline full circle into the conclusion space?
Uh, it's I think right now it's like that feeling of when you graduate high school or college, and it still feels like you're gonna go back to class after the summer and you're gonna see your friends, and then all of a sudden, like August or September hits and you're not back in high school or you're not back in college, and like so it hasn't. All that's a long way of saying it hasn't quite hit me yet. Maybe when I'm actually holding the book in my hands, physically, I'll feel that way. But more than anything, I just feel really grateful. I think like to get to publish 4 volumes of anything these days is like a pretty cool accomplishment. And
Hmm.
let alone for like this very weird, very personal sci-fi girl detective story set in my hometown of Miami. So it's like very, very niche, very, very specific to me. But based on the feedback we've gotten from readers, there's got to be something universal to it because people really seem to be responding to the main character, Sophie, and kind of all that's been going on in her life. So yeah, just grateful for all that, and really for Mad Cave and Maverick for believing in the series all along. It was very, very cool of them. And I guess sort of the theme of the book is about sort of accepting certain aspects of fate, but still kind of finding a way to keep hope alive, or even letting go of old hopes that no longer apply, but maybe searching for like a different, slightly modified hope, that you can actually hold
Hmm.
on to. And so that was a message that I try and share with my sons just as a parent, and one that I thought maybe some of our other, readers in the YA space might benefit from, especially now when the world seems so unpredictable. And it just also sort of matched my journey as the creator on this thing of like bringing a story to a close. But you never know. Maybe there'll be another scoop story down the road. But even if there isn't, I feel like we left it in a really good place. And I there's some back matter at the end of this volume where I kind of talk about the origin of Scoop, and in preparing for that, I looked back over my original notes for the series, which are like date back to 17 years ago. Like that's how long I'd been sort of ideating on it and working on it and trying to push
Mm.
it forward and finally finding the right home in Mad Cave. Um, but the plan was weirdly, and I'd sort of forgotten it was always for 4 volumes, to like tell this sort of large overarching mystery that unites all, volumes 1 through 4. Each one is meant to be its own standalone mystery and cool sci-fi adventure, but we had this larger storyline that was running through all of them. And so, yeah, again, just feel like incredibly lucky to have somehow been able to hopefully stick the landing on something that I hatched a long time ago, and it's definitely been modified and updated since then. But I think we're still true to like that original spirit of it.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I'm sure you definitely grow with the characters, grow into that world in some ways. And I appreciate once more the YA space talking about Maverick and that imprint. And those are great stories for people of all ages to connect with. Older readers can
Mhm.
connect with it too, but great to have young adult protagonists that can be relatable for readers.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was, even when I was a little kid, my favorite books were, Teen Titans, where the characters are teenagers, so older than me at the time. And, X-Men were basically, teenagers and maybe in their early 20s by the time I was reading it. So I think that's just, those ages are really fertile for drama and big feelings and emotions and a lot of firsts in life, relationships and heartbreak and tragedy and triumph and all that. So it's just a fun place to stay in. But even now, like as a grown up, I mean, I love Stranger Things like everyone else does. Those are teenage protagonists, so it's like I think there's something inherently relatable to it. And I'm very proud of our YA label and the books that Maverick publishes. But for me as a creator, I'm always when I'm writing these stories, I'm not thinking so much about that designation of like middle grade or YA or what have you. It's more about just being kind of true to the character and the stories, the characters and the stories, and I think all that other stuff kind of just sort of gets figured out in the wash at the end, and I think when we approach the stories in that way, it is the end result is hopefully a story that anyone can appreciate at any age. You don't just have to be a teenager to read it. You could be a grown up and love it. You could be younger than a teenager and I think still find something to enjoy in Scoop. So that's the plan anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what have you learned in the process about Sophie Cooper? And as you've been kind of engaging in the world and part of this creative process, anything that you've learned about yourself?
Well, I mean, it was stuff I had pointed out to me by my therapist, so I don't know if that counts, but like I was,
Totally, totally
yeah, okay,
counts.
good. So then yes, definitely yes. Yeah, no, there was a session where I was just saying like how hard it was to write this final volume because, just like from a practical standpoint, like I didn't do myself any favors by having 3 other volumes like chock-a-block with mysteries that and like dangling plot threads that all had to be paid off in the final volume. So it was like sort of landing the plane on all that story stuff was tough. But yeah, also just like this is I think the most emotional of all the Scoop volumes. I think volume 3 got pretty emotional, but I think this one hits really close to home in that it's like Sophie's family that's really in jeopardy in this one in a way they haven't been before. Like they are really in the crosshairs of legitimate danger. And somebody who's like I'm a family man and everything, so like stuff like that just makes me very nervous just from like a vicarious or sympathetic standpoint. So there was a lot of anxiety about that stuff too, and making sure I was being true to the characters. And yeah, it was my therapist who was the one who pointed out what I was saying earlier, that like you, Richard, are going through the exact same thing your main character Sophie is, and you didn't realize it. So I apologize in advance if I'm just like working out my personal issues on this unsuspecting readership through these graphic novels, but that's, I think, sort of what was happening. But once my wonderful therapist pointed that out, it really helped me figure out like the how to land that plane, and how to do it in the most emotional way as possible. And really like, as much as we do tie up every loose end in Scoop in the fourth volume, even more important than that was like emotionally, not having plot exposition, but have it be about the emotions and what are the characters feeling as we're reaching our finale. So that insight that she sort of spoon fed to me, was, I don't think I could have done the book without it.
Yeah, yeah, there's this healing process that's part of creativity, part of writing and art. I think that's wonderful that you've kind of tapped into that as well as you're creating. I think it adds depth.
Thanks. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not the first time that somebody has pointed out like something that is painfully obvious to them about my writing that I'm totally ignorant of. Like I have a lot of tics as a writer, I guess, as all writers do. So it is always interesting to like stand back and have somebody else point out those things. And like I said, I've been working on Scoop in one way or another for like 17 years. So I hope I've changed in that time, and I hope it's for the better and that I've evolved alongside our characters. And if for no other reason than like when I first came up with the story for Scoop, my oldest son, Max, was not yet born. My wife was still pregnant
Mhm.
with him. And now, as volume four comes out, Max is the same age as Sophie, our main character. So, like,
Wow.
that was a real head trip. And, our younger son, Ben, is about to graduate high school and kind of, you know, launch into this new, or he's about to graduate middle school and go into high school. So, he's kind of on the cusp of a big life change too. So I don't know, it just all sort of felt like it was coming together for some reason or another.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Very meaningful for you as the writer and creator, I'm sure. And what are you feeling like is next for you? Is there anything you'd like to say about where you're headed in your creative journey?
Oh yeah. Thank you for asking.
Hmm.
So Scoop Volume 4 is actually out right now. It's for sure a best looking volume again. Pablo Andres killed it with the art, and it was colored by Simon Robbins and Rebecca Good, and the letters are done by Justin Birch. And it's my favorite volume out of all of them, and I'm not just saying that. And I should also say it's truly not like, it's a really cool story. There's really, I think, some good twists and turns and reveals, some things that even surprised me when I was writing it. I've got a lot of sci-fi spectacle. We really wanted to treat this like a big finale, so we pulled out all the stops on it. But
Nice.
if people out there haven't yet checked out the other volumes, it's no problem. This one stands alone. We give you everything you need to know in the first few pages to give you everything you need to understand the story. I think my cheap costume's falling apart as I'm talking to you. It means we're running out of time. Um, I'll save that for later. Uh, so that's Scoop Volume 4, and also Maverick is doing this awesome thing where they're collecting all four volumes into a giant like sort of omnibus style edition that's going to come out a little later this year, I think in September, and that's got a beautiful new cover by Pablo. So if people haven't checked out Scoop yet, then you can get it all in this one very convenient, very sweet looking package. So there's that. I'm working right now on Tective Volume 2. I think last time I was on here, we were
Mhm.
talking about Volume 1. So that came
Mhm.
out. It was very nice. Kirk has listed us as one of the top 100 indie books of 2025, which,
Nicely done.
yeah, thank you. I'm not, not a regular fixture on best of lists. So that was a really nice feather in our cap. And yeah, it was very, very meaningful to us. So we're continuing that story, working on volume 2 right now. Um, and that Marco Matrone, the artist, he's hard at work on that. It's looking really beautiful. And then Marco and I did this other book in between that's coming out in April through Paper Cuts. So it's still part of the Mad Cave family. And that's called Leo da Vinci Renaissance Kid. And it's
Nice.
this really fun, um, very silly sort of young Sherlock Holmes, young Indiana Jones chronicled version of Leonardo da Vinci as a boy, as an apprentice in Florence, and him, sort of stumbling upon this giant conspiracy that's threatening the kind of the entire country and the entire Renaissance, and these interesting friends he makes along the way. And the real Da Vinci was kind of like a very sort of cheeky, very puckish, like a little bit of a prankster in his art. And so we definitely explore that in this book. He does all these very over the top sort of Rube Goldberg-y pranks with his artwork, and is kind of taking down all those taking some of the starch out of those puffy collars that all the nobles have in Florence, kind of fighting for the average man and the average kid. So that comes out in April. Really proud of that one. Marco did some really astonishingly beautiful artwork in that. So I hope people check it out. Whether they're a kid or they have kids or they know a kid or they just want to have like a really fun historical fiction action adventure romp with Leonardo da Vinci, who is not just my favorite artist, but like one of my favorite people ever. So yeah, I hope people enjoy that one. And
Yeah, yeah, cool.
yeah, so that's kind of it. Outside of comics, I do some writing for a toy company, MGA Entertainment. They released a toy line last year called Ninjombies that kind of helped do a little work on the characters and the mythology, and I wrote these little mini comics that come packaged with each action figure. They're really, really sweet. Pablo illustrated one of those. Mad Cave packaged and published all the mini comics. They're really, really nice looking. So those toys are on sale at Target and Walmart here in the States. Hopefully, will be unleashed to the rest of the unsuspecting world soon enough. And it got nominated for Toy of the Year for Best Action
Nice.
Figure. So we'll see what happens there.
Cool, cool. Love that you're expanding into the world of action figures too. And the mini comic has a history with me. Those He-Man mini comics that used to come with the figures were awesome. So
Yeah,
very creative.
those were the North Star in the making of this. That and to the point where we even tried to reproduce the original, format and page trim size of them, because it was very much a similar kind of thing. You're launching a toy line out there without like a cartoon ready just yet, or without anything else. So like, what's the best way to introduce? Characters and or I'm sorry, kids and toy collectors to like these new weird ninja zombie slime shooting figures. There's no better way to do that than with comics. So each little comic stands alone, but if you collect all six and you read it all together, it'll give you a very complete story about the ninjombies and their world.
Cool, cool. If I'm a listener and I want to find out more, where might I do that?
Well, you can probably find me on Instagram. I guess that's kind of I'm not the best at social media, but I'm at Richard Ashley Hamilton on there. That's kind of it's just my full name. You can probably find me on those platforms, but I guess Instagram's the least toxic, so the one I frequent the most, although by no means perfect. And or for Scoop or Speed Racer, definitely you can request it at your local comic shop. If you don't have a local comic shop, you can order them through the Mad Cave website, or you can also go to bookshop.org, which supports smaller personally owned bookstores in your area, and they're able to order all these books too, and can often match or maybe even beat the prices of like an Amazon. So
Mhm.
that's always a really great resource. But yeah, if you're lucky enough to have a comic shop in your area, definitely go check with them first. And I always love talking comics. I love talking comics with you, Jason, and with anyone else. So if anyone wants to talk comics, come find me online or come find me at a convention. I'll probably be at San Diego again this year.
Well, cool. Well, always a delight to talk with you, Richard, and glad to share about your work. The invitation is open anytime. And looking forward to the work that is on the way.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back, Jason, and let me talk about these comics. And thank you for not laughing at me in my costume. I really appreciate it.
I loved it. I loved it. I think it added the gravitas to the series that we need, and clearly shows the fandom. Clearly shows the fandom. So much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you very much.